Graham. Woo-wee, it was a lot going on yesterday. It was a lot going on yesterday. But I'm going to keep it light today. I'm going to try to do 2 lives today. My apologies for coming in late. And I just want to say Happy New Year's to everyone that missed this live, but you'll watch it tomorrow because tomorrow will be officially New Year's, and this is New Year's Eve. So Happy New Year's Eve to everyone. Today is December the 31st, and we're going to talk about Eric Adams' corruption in New York. Chief of Police, or should I say, former Chief of Police. Chief of Police Jeffery Maddrey. Yes, because it has been a quote-unquote lot going on in New York. Now, I just want to say that this is a platform that welcomes everybody, right? We welcome everybody, okay? And when it comes down to differences of opinion, but, with me, I will agree to disagree, but I don't ever want it to get to a point where, people get so upset and it gets to a whole nother level. It should never get to that level, that particular level. Now, today we're going to discuss, like I stated, Eric Adams' corruption in New York, former Chief of Police Jeffery Maddrey. Women. Yes, women are in the mix of this corruption in New York. And today's motivation quote is, accountability is the best responsibility to success. And I have to read the quote unquote fair use copyright disclaimer under section 107 of the Copyright Act 1976. Allowance is made for fair use for purposes such as criticism, commenting, news reporting, teaching, scholarship, and research. Fair use is a use permitted by copyright statute that might otherwise be infringing. Nonprofit educational or personal use tips the balance in favor of fair use. Now, today it's going to be a wild west day. Okay? And the reason I have to talk about this is because, yesterday we talked about Vivid. We're not going to talk about Vivid today. We talked about Elon, Vivid. We're not going to talk about that today. We're going to talk about, going to move that to the side. We're going to talk about this gentleman right here, Jeffery Maddrey. Yes, Jeffery Maddrey. Who is he? He is the one that this gentleman that you're looking at, Mayor Eric Adams, Mayor Eric Adams and his beautiful girlfriend of so many years, Tracy Collins. Yes, she is pertaining to this conversation that we're having today. Women. Because how did she get into the mix? Because Eric Adams, if you guys don't know, he has an indictment over his shoulders, right? And thank you guys for coming in. Please hit that like button. Now he has a quote unquote indictment over his shoulders. And because of that, a number of people have started to resign. Things are coming out. And unfortunately, his girlfriend, she had to resign from her position. Why? Because when he became the quote unquote mayor of New York, she ended up obtaining a promotion. Yes, she ended up obtaining a promotion in the education system. And remember what I talked about with you guys yesterday, right? When it came down to education system. And hello, Melinda. Melinda says, hello, everyone. Shout out to Melinda. Thank you for coming in. And thank you, ladies and gentlemen. Please hit that like button. We're going to have a conversation. Now, when it comes down to Mayor Adams, right? Going to stroll down and just do a little brief. Yes, he has indictment, okay, in New York himself, right? We talked about it. He has not 1, not 2, but 5 counts pending over his head himself. And we also discussed earlier in a live prior to this that he is looking at a maximum himself of over 45 years in maximum federal prison if he is convicted of these allegations, okay, of this indictment on his end. And the indictment, let's just say, predominantly includes fraud, okay, fraudulent activities dealing with taxpayers' money, yes, in New York City, right? Now, why am I speaking of this today? Is because Mayor Eric Adams promoted this guy. I'm gonna scroll down. He promoted this guy, Jeffery Maddrey. Now, why is all this coming about? Because I've got to show it. I have to show it because Donald Trump ended up winning, okay, becoming the 47th elected president. When that happened, a lot of things started to come about. A lot of things started to come about. And when I say a lot of things started to come about, people started to get, I'm just going to be honest, they started to get scared, okay? We just got to call it out for what it is. Why? Because if you guys know, when it comes down to Donald Trump, okay, one of his top things, number one things, is to do what? Seal the border and stop migrant invasion. And hello, thank you guys for coming in. Please hit that like button. Now, that was one of his top things and what he's planning on doing once he enters the office January the 20th, right? And hello, Chris. Chris says, shout out to Mega. Shout out to Mega. Now, when it comes down to Donald Trump, right, we all know that, I'm just going to be honest, New York has not been his friend. New York is the only one that unfortunately successfully convicted him of 34 felonies, right? But we're going to leave that alone. We're going to leave that alone for today because I don't want nothing coming this way but likes. Hit the like button, right? Because today my thing is this, and I got to call it out for what it is. They did not have any problems. I'm going to be honest. They did not have any problems talking about the CEO suspect, right? They did not have any problems calling out Donald Trump and his actions. We just got to call it out for what it is. They did not have any problems, holding these huge quote unquote press conferences. They did not have any problems having these press conferences, filing indictments, filing convictions on Donald Trump, also indictments in 2 states for Luigi Mangione, the CEO suspect, right? They did not have any issues with that. But my thing is this: why did they not have, or should I say, why did they have quote unquote issues when it came down to, okay, calling out Mayor Eric Adams, right? And as well as, you're going to find out, why did I put in women? How do the women apply to this? Because when it comes down to Donald Trump, they wanted to try to make it seem as if Donald Trump had did so many things to women, right? They wanted to make it seem as if that Donald Trump did so many things to Stormy Daniels. He did so many things to a woman that ended up winning a quote unquote lawsuit against Donald Trump, right? And my whole thing is this, and I gotta call it out for what it is. And thank you. Shout out to the Herbal Goddess. The Herbal Goddess says, hello, politic and chat. Hello, the Herbal Goddess. And please hit that like button, you guys. Thank you guys for coming in. Now, my thing is, why don't they call this gentleman out? Why don't they call this gentleman out more? Mayor Eric Adams. Because of everything that has been going on, and we're going to talk about it. We're going to keep it light today. We're going to keep it very light today. And we do welcome everybody. All opinions are welcome, long as you do it, quote unquote, respectfully. Now, when it comes down to this chaos and I have to speak on this quote unquote chaos. I'm just flabbergasted. Nobody has said enough on the things that has been transpiring in New York since New York wants to quote unquote file all these charges and find charges and actually win cases against the current elected president Donald Trump, right? They finding all these quote unquote charges, but nobody wants to speak on this corruption that's going on. Yes, the Herbal Goddess says, don't forget to like and share. Thank you so much, ladies and gentlemen. CCTV says, hi, Politic. Hello, CCTV. Shout out to CCTV. Now, when it comes down to, I want to actually show one specific woman pertaining to Donald Trump, that this lady right here, her name is quote unquote, we're just going to call her Miss Carol. If you guys know this particular case, a lot of people feel like that Donald Trump should have won this case. He was wrongfully accused. Okay. And this particular lady, she filed a number of lawsuits. Okay. And it all came down to an incident that happened in the spring of 1996. Yes, 1996, that she alleges, okay, that between her and Donald Trump, according to her, he actually did some things to her in a quote unquote department store dressing room. So much to the point, we're going to fast forward. She was awarded $5 million for defamation. And prior to that, the judge ended up, quote unquote, giving her an additional $83.3 million. Okay? Yes, you heard right, $83.3 million. All because she alleged that Donald Trump fruit graped her in a department store and then defamed her when he denied her claim. And this incident happened in the spring of 1996. She ends up winning $83.3 million plus $5 million in the year of 2023. OG says Law and Order episode. Yes, we got to talk about it, ladies and gentlemen. And please hit that like button. Please hit that like button. Because this, I'm just going to be honest, I don't think people are being fair. Because if you're going to call somebody out, right? If you're going to allegedly call Donald Trump out, and continuously, even now as we speak, we have less than 30 days away when Donald Trump officially gets into office, January the 20th. Why is it there's still this gentleman right here, District Attorney Alvin Bragg, this particular district attorney, he is still in the works of trying to have your president, our elected president, sentence for 34 counts that he was quote unquote convicted of, right? But my whole thing is this, and thank you guys. Loyal stated it should be all overturned. She is a loon. Look her up, look her history. And lawyer, that's what I'm stating. That's what I'm stating. Because at this particular point, it seems to me that it's not fair. And shout out to Henry. Hello, Henry. I meant district. Okay, let's not get so technical. Now, when it comes down to this particular case, it's appearing that, everybody's not being accountable. And when I say everybody's not being accountable, I'm going to be very, very upfront. The city of New York and the state of New York, okay? The officials, the government system is not being accountable, right? And shout out to Grayson for mentioning that. Okay, Grayson stated, quote unquote, accountability matters. Absolutely. And shout out to Art of War. Art of War says, good morning, news lady. And thank you so much for coming in, Art of War. Now, I want people to understand this. This has to stop. Because we are coming into the times where we do have people coming into office as far as president goes. And we have to move what? Forward. But it seems as if people do not want to move forward. People do not want to move forward and let things be. Because we cannot go back. We cannot go back. See, what some people feel, and I'm going to be honest, I'm not going to call no names out because I felt the heat yesterday's live. I felt it. I don't want it. I don't want that heat. Okay? And shout out to Tanaya. Tanaya says, Happy New Year. Yes, yes. Thank you for coming in, Tanaya. Now, when it comes down to this, I think some Congress members and some people feel that Donald Trump can be treated like he was treated in civil cases, and such as this case right here, right? Where, according to Miss Carroll, her incident happened all the way back in 1996. And they think that because someone like Carol, she was able to win 83.3 million plus 5 million in regards to an incident that transpired in 1996. And this is no victim shaming. This is no victim shaming. But it seems as if people think that Donald Trump can just not be president and we can just go back in the past. But it's just like, Donald Trump was not president, okay, in 96. And Grayson says, regardless of how you feel, no one should want to see our American president fail, regardless of political party. Absolutely. Absolutely. Right? No one should see our American president fail. And see, this is what I want people to really sit back. And I got to pin it. Can I pin it, Grayson? I got to pin it. Because that's why I say I want people to kind of just move forward at this point. Let's just move forward. Okay? Let's move forward. Now, it was some things that I said yesterday in regards to my personal views on how if you guys want to go back into the live of yesterday, you can go back into the live of yesterday. Okay. I will do another live getting into more depth where you can actually see the receipts that I spoke about, right? However, today I cannot allow this madness to continue where everybody is not being accountable for their actions. And when I say everybody's not being accountable for their actions, I'm meaning the people in the state of New York. Okay? It's not right. It is not right. Okay, we can all have our opinions on how we feel about Donald Trump or how we feel about the quote-unquote Republican Party. But on the same token, we have to take this into note. And I want people to, face it for what it is. Okay? This person is your president. This person, Donald Trump, is your president. Okay? You cannot keep going back and rehashing things such as this matter right here. Right? You can't. And I firmly believe that because Donald Trump won his position to become the 47th elected president, and one of his first goals, a part of the agenda 47, is to stop migrants invasion and seal the border, right? That was one of his top key parts. This is what happened, and I want to make sure I don't get nothing mixed up today. This is what happened in a quote-unquote press conference right after Donald Trump became won to be the elected 47th president. Right? Mayor Eric Adams holds a huge press conference. Huge press conference. And I'm just going to show some things that some topics that Mayor Eric Adams discussed, because a lot of people were very scared and are still scared and upset, and they don't know what to do. Okay, they don't know how to move. Okay, they don't know how to move, right? And this is Mayor Eric Adams' response after Donald Trump wins. He discusses quite a few things, and we're just gonna play a little bit. One of the things that he discussed as far as ending vouchers for migrants, undocumented migrants, because if you guys know about New York is one of those states that are sanctuary, right? And because New York is one of those states that is sanctuary, according to him, New York was supposed to be provided federal funding to support these vouchers that they provided for the undocumented migrants, right? But according to him, that did not happen. And because of that, he had to, quote unquote, cut the vouchers. He had to cut a lot of things out. And in some clips, he's going to discuss how New York has been impacted. Going to play, and this is quote unquote fair use. Thank you guys for coming in. Thank you so much for coming in. This is Politic Gram. Please hit that like button. Please hit that like button.
Well, our city's bottom line was affected, with 220,000 migrants and asylum seekers were placed in the city without any federal assistance that was substantial. We were impacted, billions of dollars. And what Deputy Mayor Eisen was able to do, 170,000 have been able to go on to the next step in their journey because of the proposals we put in place, including getting work authorization. The most important thing we can do for those migrants and asylum seekers that are already here in the country, who were paroled into the country, is give them work authorization.
Now, I had to pause it. Now he's saying we cannot provide you vouchers right now, or any more vouchers, but we can still give you work authorizations. That's what we can do. That's what he's saying. That's what we can do at this point. Because notice what he's doing. And I'm going to tell you what I think. Now, you guys can you can put it in the comments, and thank you guys for coming in. And shout out to Julie. You are absolutely right. New York has changed. And I'm going to be honest. I think America has changed, because they see who's coming in as far as president, and they're tightening up. Okay? They're tightening up. Some people are getting upset. Right? Some people are getting upset. Some people are still trying to sentence Donald Trump. I don't know how that's going to happen. I don't think Donald Trump is going to be sentenced while he's president, but they're still trying to sentence him for the 34 felonies that he was convicted of in New York. They're still trying to find a way to sentence him. So what does Mayor Eric Adams do on his end? He tries to save face, right? He's saving face. Because just like I discussed with you guys earlier, he has, quote unquote, I have to say it, he has, quote unquote, pending, quote unquote, an indictment, allegations. Yes. And I'm going to show you some states, and shout out to some of these states that did not fall for it. But you do have a lot of states that were, quote unquote, sanctuary, right? That were, quote unquote, sanctuary states. And some of these states now, they're all in a mess. Yes, a mess. Some of these states, you have, quote unquote, Washington, D.C., right? You have Rhode Island, you have New York, New Jersey, Massachusetts, Illinois, Colorado. I'm going to slide it over a little bit so you guys can see what I'm talking about when it comes down to these states. Then you have some states that said we are not going to provide so-called vouchers. Sorry about that. These so-called vouchers. And as you can see, this is the current governor of Florida, Ron DeSantis. And what you're seeing, he was signing actual bills saying we're not doing this in the state of Florida, right? So Florida is one of those states that is non-sanctuary, that did not fall for this. Okay? But when it comes down to New York, right? New York, and specifically the city of New York, it is in a mess. It is in a mess, and I'm just going to be honest. People are afraid of what's to come. Julie says, what are they doing about the homeless problem? Exactly. And Julie, I'm glad you asked that. Narendra says, New Hampshire, 34 felonies. Can someone tell me what they are? Shoplifting is not a felony. What is it that he is accused of? Now, see, this is why a number of people are kind of upset with everything that has transpired and went on with Donald Trump. I'm going to be very safe with my words today because I felt the heat yesterday. I don't want it. And please hit that like button. Thank you guys for coming in. Please hit that like button. Please subscribe to the channel. If you wish, you can actually donate a super sticker or become a member to the platform. Jared says, thank you for your reporting. Appreciate it. God bless you, and God bless you, Jared. Shout out to Jared. Now, I want people to understand this. People have to really understand that it is not going, like, I can't explain why people are so afraid of what is to quote unquote come January the 20th. Because if you have been following this platform, what you should be afraid of are people like this, Mayor Eric Adams. These are the people you need to be afraid of. And people like, quote unquote, the governor of New York, Kathy Hochul. These are people you should be afraid of. These are the people that you should be afraid of. And we're going to talk about why you should be afraid of people like this. Now, when Donald Trump won, this was after the election, after November the 5th, the week of November the 5th. You cannot make this up, right? A lot of people around in America, the different officials, different states, they start releasing statements. In Eric Adams' case, within a week or 2 weeks of President-elect Donald Trump winning, he holds a press conference. And when he holds this quote-unquote press conference, Mayor Eric Adams he stated, if we don't get the support we need, New Yorkers could be left within a $12 billion debt. That's what he said. This is what he said. And also, in addition to this press conference, he was stating how this $12 billion, okay, would have came about this coming summer of 2025. So he said he had to immediately do something, and his one of his things that he could do in his hands at this point was to cut the vouchers off. Okay? And in this press conference, he did state that he had talked to Donald Trump. He stated how the city, even after all of this, losing money, he did state that the city of New York will still remain a sanctuary for non-documented and documented immigrants. And also he stated that New York supports women's rights on reproductive and women health care. Okay? This is what... Oh, I'm sorry, Narendra. What were you saying? Narendra said, did he spill state secrets? Are you talking about Donald Trump? Let me make sure. Narendra says, did he spill state secrets? Did he make deals, personally with an enemy country? Did he put American interests at risk? What did he do? Now, and shout out to Narendra. Now, when it comes down to Donald Trump, and as far as the charges from different states, okay, you guys know they filed indictments in Georgia, they filed indictments in New York, they filed indictments against him in Florida, and last but not least, they filed an indictment against Donald Trump in Washington, D.C. And what were those indictments? I'm just going to be very brief in regards to these quote unquote indictments. Very, very brief for you, Narendra. Okay, and Happy New Year's, Red Rooms. Thank you for coming in. Very, very brief. Now, when it comes down to the Manhattan in New York, because that's the only case that Donald Trump was convicted of, right? The 34 counts in Manhattan, okay, were for falsifying business records in order to quote unquote conceal. Shout out to Red Rooms. Thank you so much, Red Rooms. Thank you so much. Now, according to this, I'm just going to be very brief, Narendra. I'll get into it even more in the next live. But according to it, when it comes down to New York, Donald Trump was convicted for 34 counts of falsifying business records in order to conceal. And shout out to Red Rooms for falsifying business records. And I'm going to slide it over for you to see, Narendra. Let me slide it on over for you. Okay? Because I think people yesterday, they thought I don't have receipts. They thought I just, whoa, like, who is she? What is she talking about? So I just want you guys to see this, okay? I put in my work. I do put in my work. Red Room says, that's my sis. And shout out to Red Rooms. Got to give a shout out to Red Rooms. Thank you so much, Red Rooms, for the support and the donation. Super sticker. Thank you so much. Now, as you guys can see, Trump was convicted in Manhattan on May the 30th, okay, of this year on 34 counts of falsifying business records in order to conceal a conspiracy to unlawfully interfere in the 2016 presidential election through a quote. Wait a minute, who else is this? Thank you so much. Wait a minute, let me stroll down. Shout out to Grayson. Shout out to Grayson. Thank you so much, you guys. Thank you so much. I just had to go back and bring it old school, you know, and show you guys how I really do things in this live. Okay. Okay. It's different from yesterday's live. I said, you guys, look, I understand. You guys were telling me, let's come up, let's bring it back old school. So this is my old school way I used to do things. So I still would do it. Thank you so much, Grayson. Thank you so much, Red Room. Shout out to you guys for the donation. Now, Narendra, I haven't forgot about you, Narendra. Shout out to India. Now, when it comes down to Donald Trump, this happened in regards to 2016, okay, presidential election through a scheme involving what? Hush money. Paid to whom? Stormy Daniels. This was the case in quote unquote New York. And if you don't know who Stormy Daniels is, Jesus help us all. If you don't know who Stormy Daniels is, I'll show her. Oh my goodness. I don't really want to show her, but let me try to show Stormy Daniels. Jesus help us all. Okay? When it comes down to this Stormy Daniels, she is a quote unquote, I'm trying to see how to say it, you guys. How do I say it? She was once in the entertainment business. Let's say it that way. You know this lady who I'm talking about. This lady right here. Okay. And it was kind of wild when they brought her in to testify to be the key witness to this case in New York that Donald Trump ended up losing, because according to reports from what I read, she was actually giving real details on how she lifted things up. And I mean, it was just wild. I couldn't believe that the judge this judge right here, okay, I couldn't believe this judge right here was even allowing this madness to go on in the courtroom where she's describing verbatim, allegedly, what Donald Trump was doing to her, okay, in a Nevada hotel room. Okay, you cannot make this up. Okay, and because of this, of what happened in this Nevada hotel room by this entertainer, we'll say it that way, okay, it's alleged that she was paid $150,000, okay, to be quiet about this incident that happened in 2016, okay. This is what all this pertained to, and that was this particular case in New York, the 34 counts. Okay, and thank you guys for coming in. I hope that answered your question, Narendra. I don't want to forget you, Narendra. Narendra says he cooked the books. Every politician has done that. Name me one who has a clean slate. What about Obama? He falsified a lot of things. What about Bill Clinton? He was almost impeached for what? And see, these are things that this is why, and shout out to Narendra. This is why I wanted to have this live today. Because people are not being held accountable, the right people. Because I'm telling you right now, if you're going to call Donald Trump out, you need to call everybody else out. You need to call everybody else out. Because when Donald Trump won his quote-unquote election against Kamala Harris, okay, Vice President Kamala Harris, excuse me, this person, Eric Adams, holds a huge press conference stating that we have to cut our vouchers. We have to cut our vouchers in regards to providing assistance for the undocumented immigrants. But his words, even though we're going to cut our vouchers for the undocumented immigrants, they can still be quote unquote, they can still receive work authorization. So I think it's kind of like what? So you're basically saying we're not going to help, but you can work for us. You can work for us. And it's like he's taking steps back. But you're supposed to be a quote unquote sanctuary state. So why would you take steps back if you're identifying your state to be, and your city, I'm sorry, not only your state, but the city is a sanctuary state that is supposed to assist both undocumented immigrants as well as documented immigrants. But see, notice what he did. He is taking steps back. This is his response. Now, when it comes down to Illinois, okay, that is also another place that is a sanctuary place. And if you guys can remember, I did state that the quote unquote, yes, we got to talk about what happened in Illinois. Okay. There was a press conference there. There was a press conference there by whom? Illinois governor. Okay, JB. Okay. And if you guys can remember, he stated, you come for me, you come through me. Right? He says, to anyone who intends to come take away the freedom and opportunity and dignity of Illinoisians, I will remind you that a happy warrior is still a warrior. You come for me, you come through me. So he's basically stating that he's indirectly, okay, telling Donald Trump's administration that's coming in that I'm going to protect my state. Okay? Through all means, I'm going to protect my state. I'm going to protect my health care coverage. This is what he says. Despite his threats, listen to this, you guys, Donald Trump. Despite his threats, this is what the governor of Illinois stated. Despite his threats to health care coverage, educational opportunity, and a fair minimum wage, Illinois will continue to invest in the well-being and prosperity of all our people. Why did he state that? I keep telling you guys. When Donald Trump won, a lot of people started to get what? Scared. A lot of people started to get scared. But remember what I said. Donald Trump is not the one you need to be scared of right now. He's the one you should be scared of. People like this, Stormy Daniels, is the one you should be scared of. I'm just being straight up because it seems to me people are forgetting where we are in these times. And in these times, Donald Trump was not the president for the past 4 years. In these times, and now we're going to move forward when it comes down to, got to talk about it, what we're here to talk about today when it comes down to Mayor Eric Adams, okay? When it comes down to him, I'm gonna fast forward a little bit into this press conference that he held right not too long after. I think, yes, this was the day after Donald Trump won. So this press conference was November the 6th. November the 6th. Now I'm gonna move forward. Okay, what quote unquote Mayor Eric Adams was speaking of in regards to all of this, as far as quote unquote the undocumented immigrants. But then he moves forward and he looks to the side. He looks to the side to see what his then former chief of police, Jeffery Maddrey, had to say in regards to this. Because remember what some people were saying about, undocumented immigrants, stating that, like the crime has gone up and all this. So he looks to the side and he says, "You have anything to say? Watch. I'm going to play it." He looks to the side. It's coming up right now. Give me one moment.
We should not be picking up the tab of migrants and asylum seekers, which is a federal problem. And that is what we've had to do. And fortunate of those billions of dollars taxpayers had to pay for. So many have moved on to other locales that they wanted to go to, and some have returned back to their homelands. We're going to continue to do our job like we've done for those 170,000 that took the next step on their journey.
Now, you see this gentleman right here? This gentleman right here, I should have known there was something right then. I should have known something was up right then with the look on his face. Okay? I repeat, with that look of, I hope they don't know. I hope they don't know. And I'm going to fast forward a little bit. Just a little bit for you guys.
Yeah. You said they said the 90-day crackdown?
Yeah, that's correct. Yeah, he's talking about what we're doing on Roosevelt Avenue. That's a specific initiative just to address criminal activity, quality of life conditions on Roosevelt Avenue. It'll continue to go on. It will continue to go on, and it's nothing that's directed towards our migrants or immigrant population. It's about just cleaning up Roosevelt Avenue, which has undergone some serious quality of life issues and criminal activity, and we need to address it.
Now, I'm gonna repeat this part, what he said, because he needs to see, he avoided his activity, alleged activities within house. Okay, the alleged activities that are allegedly transpired within house. I gotta be careful. Okay, because this gentleman that you see right here, he is no longer chief of police. Now, why am I connecting him with Mayor Eric Adams? People have to understand, before Mayor Eric Adams became Mayor Eric Adams was actual former police officer himself. And that is how and why this gentleman ended up getting his promotion in 2022. The gentleman that you're looking at is Jeffery Maddrey, former chief of police in New York. Okay? And they had been knowing each other for years. Okay? Years. And this, I'm going to repeat that part, what he just said. And thank you guys for coming in. Please hit that like button. Please subscribe to the channel. And shout out to Red Rooms. Shout out to Grayson. Thank you guys for the support.
Serious quality of life issues and criminal activity, and we need to address it.
Okay. Criminal activity, and we need to address. Okay, so let's address it then. Let's address these quote-unquote criminal activities, or should I say these indictments in regards to Mayor Eric Adams. We already did that. Bring it down, bring it down. Let's talk about Mr. Jeffery Maddrey, aka, well, you know what? Let's talk about it. When it comes down to him, he knew all of this was coming out. He knew all of this was going to come out when Eric Adams had this press conference November the 6th. He knew it. And what am I talking about? I'm going to go into the comments. I'm going to be respectful. Jenny says he was prosecuted for being blackmailed. He was the victim. Are you talking about Donald Trump? And thank you so much, Jenny, for coming in. Narendra says whatever Donald Trump did with Stormy Daniels was before he became president. Now, see, people don't really understand, right? For me, I don't want to victim shame anybody. I pray people understand. I'm not trying to victim shame anybody, but I want people to understand on the back end of things. Remember when I keep saying, do not fall for these distractions, because when it comes down to entities such as Stormy Daniels, right? That was a distraction. Why? Because in my personal perception of this, it was that they did not want Donald Trump to become president again. They didn't. They did everything to find a way to stop him from becoming president again. And when that failed, right? Moving forward, he wins his position. Now, people all over America, different officials, governmental officials, they are holding press conferences. They are actually personally reaching out to Donald Trump. Yes, making phone calls, talking to Donald Trump, having those quote unquote, those phone calls. And even with Eric Adams, okay, he had a phone call. But when it comes down to his former chief of police, who's now the former chief of police because he ended up resigning, this gentleman, he knew what was in his closet, okay, with everything that was quote unquote transpired. And thank you guys for coming in. I'm going to talk about this gentleman, and this is where we are. Now, this is going to be a part two. We're going to break this down into parts, okay? When it comes down to this gentleman, the gentleman that you're looking at is the former chief of police, Jeffery Maddrey, okay? We're just going to talk about him a little bit. We got to. Because, see, I don't play those type of games on this platform. And when I say those type of games, and I want to make sure I put this disclaimer out, please do not ask me, well, who are you for and all of that, because on this platform, we welcome all parties. We welcome everybody, because when you come on platform, we go off of facts. We go off of receipts. We don't go off of what? We don't go off of these emotions. It is just irrelevant. And I think that's a lot of the issues that's going on here. People are very upset, okay, emotional, that someone has became president and it's time to move forward. And like I stated, a lot of people were not happy with what I discussed yesterday, but I'll give a breakdown in another live. But when it comes down to our current president, elected president, Donald Trump, this gentleman right here, okay, he won. It is what it is. It is what it is. Now, why is today's topic consisting of, when I said women, I made sure I put that in my topic today, as far as these so-called, well, let me be very respectful so you guys can specifically what I'm speaking on. Okay? Our topic today is Eric Adams' corruption in New York, former chief of police Jeffery Maddrey, and women. And when I said women in that notation, women in the sense that, okay, somehow it seems as if women are in the matter when it came down to Donald Trump and Stormy Daniels incident back in 2016 in the hotel in Nevada. Okay, when it came down to quote unquote Miss Carol, who ended up getting 83.3 million in addition to 5 million. And Lori, I saw your statements, your comments in the chat. We do not victim shame in this platform. We do not victim shame, but we do speak facts. Okay, so I hope that you, as well as other entities that come into this platform, do not take it as that. We are here to state the facts and connect dots. Okay, and thank you so much. I saw your comments, Lori. I saw it. And today's motivational quote pertaining to everything that we're discussing: accountability is best responsibility to success. All right. Now, back to this gentleman right here, Jeffery Maddrey. Now, when it comes down to Jeffery Maddrey, and let me take this to the side so you guys can see the look on his face. Because he knew then. He knew. November the 6th, everybody is cleaning up house and running and hiding. Notice what I said. Everybody is cleaning up house and running and hiding. Okay? Because on November the 6th, Jeffery Maddrey, this chief of police, who's no longer a chief of police now, he knew that he had a lot of things going on. But I'm bringing it back to Eric Adams because Eric Adams knew too. And when I say Eric Adams knew too, he knew that this gentleman was very controversial before 2022, when he actually picked this gentleman to become chief of police for the city of New York. He knew that. Eric Adams knew about that. And we're going to talk about it. Now, with Jeffery Maddrey, before we get into this, we have to understand the man that we're talking about. He is a married man that's been married to the same woman for decades, has 3 daughters, has been working as a law officer for New York ever since the 1990s. Okay? Specifically, and I want to scroll down, he became a police officer the year of 1991. 1991 at the age of 20. And there's a reason I'm speaking on that. Because fast forward, he wants to do quote unquote interviews to save face and explain all these allegations that's coming in the air now. Right? He wants to explain himself, as they say. And I'm telling you right now, I really believe this. And people can say I'm sounding like I'm taking sides, but I'm not taking sides. When I break it all the way down, it really appears that because this person, Donald Trump, won the election, things start coming out into the air. It did. And what does they say? The truth on others start coming out. Okay? Start coming out. Because people have to understand this man that you're looking at, the chief of police, former chief of police, he has been in law enforcement and in New York, might I add, ever since 1991 at the age of 20. Okay? At the age of 20. And I want people to understand this. Okay? He said it himself in an interview. He said it himself. He said, and I quote, he said, I was almost completing 35 years of law enforcement. Came out of his mouth. Now, I'll show it to you in a minute. I'll show it to you. Now, when it comes down to this gentleman that I'm showing you guys, okay, I already said that he's married. He has 3 daughters. He's been working for law enforcement almost 35 years. Been working for New York ever since 1990. Okay. And so much to the point, he even obtained, okay, his bar to become a lawyer. So he's officially an attorney for the city of New York. He actually finished law school back in May of last year. He's doing all of this. Just think about it, ladies and gentlemen. He's doing all of this just coming up to that 35-year range. Just the quote unquote, that just in case. Well, let me cover myself. Let me cover myself just in case. And why do I say that? Now we're going to move into what came about with this former chief of police in New York that was promoted by Eric Adams, right? When people were kind of trying to, tell Eric Adams, but you can't tell Mayor Eric Adams nothing. Mayor Eric Adams, he thinks he knows it all. He thinks he knows it all. Even right now, he thinks he has all the answers, right? Moving forward, now let's go into the allegations. And thank you guys for coming in. Please hit that like button. Please subscribe to the channel. Please also donate if you wish. You can also show more support and donate a super sticker. And like I said, please hit that like button. And this is Politic Graham. Now, I'm going to show you the women. Yes, a number of alleged women. Yes, you heard right. Women. The first woman in topic is this lady right here, who was the former lieutenant. Yes, a lieutenant in law enforcement as far as the city of New York. And this lady, her name is, oh my goodness, let me try to make sure I pronounce it right. Lieutenant Quatisha Elps. Oh my Jesus. Okay. Lieutenant Quatisha Elps. Oh, I'm trying. Work with me. Work with me. Now, with this particular lady, she came into how all this came about because her salary initially was a little over $200,000 a year. Okay, working as a lieutenant, as an administrative lieutenant to be exact. And if people don't know her, I'm going to just kind of give a little quick brief about her. Okay. Now, with this lady that you see right here, she's a person that, to my understanding, I'm not sure. They say that she held a lot of respect from people in the city of New York, and especially people in the police department, because she is a quote unquote survivor of cancer. Not once, not twice, but 3 times. She survived cancer 3 times. She's a single mother herself. Okay. I think she's a single mother of 3 kids. Now, you guys can remember what I talked about, when it came down to, parents and single parent home, 2-parent home. And I always said, I always have respect for parents. And to this day, I'm going to stand. I always have respect for parents because that is a lot of responsibility to be able to raise your kids, okay, in addition to, okay, going to work, working 2 or 3 jobs, paying the bills. And that's why I say to this day, I will respect, people who have children. I still stand on that. However, we have to call people out for what it is. And this particular lady, Quatisha Elps, okay, it became an investigation on her as far as why did she receive overtime pay of additional $200,000. So for her, for the past, not 1, not 2, allegedly, she was making well over $400,000 for an administrative position as a lieutenant, okay, under the realms of former chief of police Jeffery Maddrey. Yes, you heard right. She was making, quote unquote, over $400,000, okay? And of that, for over $400,000, she made over $200,000 of that in overtime pay. Okay? And how did all this come about, as they say? Okay? That's when investigation came and people started to ask, well, why are you getting so much money? Why are you getting so much money? That's when she comes and says, well, it's this gentleman. He was the one that did it. Now she wants to point fingers. Now she wants to say he's the one that gave the okay, the clearance for me to receive all of this money, or should I say monies in overtime pay. Okay? That is how this is coming about. Okay? And thank you guys for coming in. Now, when it comes down to Miss Elps, who is 51 years old, single mother of 3 herself, right? She stated that when she first got promoted herself, yes, she received the promotion. Okay? She received the promotion. That is when she said she personally talked to Jeffery Maddrey and explained to him that she was having hard times. She was having a hard time paying her house note, her bill. She needed help. She's a single mother. This is what she's saying now. This is what she said in the complaint that she filed. Okay? Because of the complaint that she had to file. Why? Because she was being investigated. And this lady that I'm talking about is this lady right here. Okay? Currently being investigated as to why and how is it she had walked away with over $400,000 of salary pay for quote unquote 2 years. And last year, this year, specifically this year, that is what started the investigation. Right? And I want people to understand this. In this city called New York, she wasn't the only one receiving overtime pay of 6 figures. Okay? Because according to Jeffery Maddrey's attorney, because now Jeffery Maddrey, he had to hire an attorney. He had to specifically hire an attorney himself. Now we're moving to this. He had to hire an attorney. Why? Because this lady that I showed you guys, this particular lady, she, Miss Elps, has now came about and basically stating all of these claims, these quote unquote claims, and now, as he would say, these are false allegations. Now, this is what she's saying. She's saying this, not me. Now, because of all of this, his attorney is stating, and I quote, My client did not give Miss Elps, this lady right here, did not give Miss Elps the clearance or approval of the overtime. It was not his job to even do that. That is what the chief of police Maddrey, former chief of police Maddrey's attorney, is stating. Okay? And in addition to that, now he had a press conference recently, 2 weeks ago. He had a press conference. It's getting wild. He had a press conference to say, and thank you guys for coming in. The gentleman that you're looking at, this is the gentleman that Mayor Eric Adams of New York hired, promoted himself back in 2022 to become the chief of police. Okay? And when Mayor Eric Adams hired him, people were very kind of saying, maybe you don't need to hire this guy, okay, because he does not have a clean record, as they say. He had allegations prior to the year of 2022 when he got promoted. So now, fast forwarding, okay, now we have a number of officers that were under his quote unquote administration. And according to his lawyer now, he's stating that, well, they weren't the only ones that were getting overtime pay. He stated 415 officers as of the year, I think it was the year allegedly 2024 or 2023, 415 police officers in the city of New York received overtime pay, each of $100,000. That is what his lawyer is stating. Now, why is he stating that? Because of this lady, Miss Quantisha Elps, okay? And she is a former lieutenant, okay? Because she had to force herself, she had to force to resign, I'm presuming, let's assume, allegedly, because of all of this that had came about. Why did all this come about? Because with her, it made headlines, or should I say within house, why is she getting over $400,000 in salary pay when her salary should be a little over $200,000 for an administrative position as lieutenant? Now, when that came about, that's when she hurries on up and she starts to file complaints. Okay? And the specific complaint that made this gentleman, okay, quote unquote, resign, was this complaint that you see right here by her attorney. Everybody's getting attorney and hiring and getting attorney so fast. And with her, okay, according to her attorney, she filed an U.S. Equal Employment Opportunity Commission a complaint. Yes, she did. She filed it against, let's look at it, the city of New York. That's how, yes, I got to put it out there. And that is how this gentleman, okay, this gentleman, not only just him, but just like I told you, Mayor Eric Adams is coming into the play. Why? Because, as you can see, as I just showed you, Miss Elps, she filed a complaint with the quote-unquote EEOC, the U.S. Equal Employment Opportunity Commission, against the city of New York itself. That's how she's moving. That is how she's quote-unquote moving. And the lady that we're talking about is this lady right here. Okay, Miss Quantisha Elps. And thank you guys for coming in. Please hit that like button. I'm going to go into the comments. Julie says, Jesus help us all. Stormy, she's the oldest business in the world. And shout out to Julie. William says, get over it. Everybody lies. The lies you tell, William, everybody does not tell those lies. Okay. Everybody does not. I wish I had $400,000 and $200,000 of that to be overtime pay. If anybody in the live can tell me if this year you receive 200 or more of $1,000 of overtime pay, let me know, because everybody here does not receive overtime pay where it's hundreds of thousands of dollars, six figures, and it's overtime pay. Everybody doesn't, especially in the positions that these entities once held, okay? And Gaia says she is a liar. She did it for cash. In the end, it cost her a lot of money, if you know what the truth is. And see, these are things I want people to really understand, right? You have to be careful how you move. And when I say you have to be careful how you move, that is why today's motivational quote is, and I quote, accountability. Accountability is best responsibility to success. Okay? Because you have to be careful how you move, just in case somebody like this, okay? I have to show it. I'll show it for the one time, the two time. Just in case someone like Stormy Daniels comes about, right? Just in case somebody like this person, Stormy Daniels, comes about in regards to Donald Trump, because Donald Trump did lose his indictment. I mean, he is the first president, the first elected president to be convicted of 34 felonies because of Stormy Daniels being a key witness to the case, okay? So that's why I say you have to be careful how you move. Right? And you also have to be careful what you say. And you guys know Donald Trump says a lot of things. He says a lot of things. He's very transparent, as they say. And sometimes he can say so much where he ends up, losing cases, because in regards to Donald Trump, the other woman that comes about, this lady right here, Miss quote unquote Carol, okay, she won a case against Donald Trump, and when Donald Trump lost that case, okay, when he lost that case, she was awarded $83.3 million, okay, in the verdict of what? Defamation, because Donald Trump was saying all this, saying. And after she won that $83.3 million case, Donald Trump, you guys know how Donald Trump is. He will say stuff, he will say it. And because he continued to say more things, she came back again and got an additional $5 million. $5 million. Now, how will this affect, okay, the city of New York, right? Because this is the same city that, quote unquote, made huge headlines in regards to all these other incidents that happened in New York, right? What happened to quote unquote, let me see if I have it to pull it up. What happened to the quote unquote, we got to show it. What happened to this guy? I'm scared to show it now. Okay, please don't get me, you guys. I'm just a news reporter. Please hit that like button. Just hit the like button. That's all I ask. But when it came down to this particular gentleman right here, okay, this CEO that passed away in the front of Hilton Hotel in Manhattan, New York, by allegedly, and we'll talk about why I'm going to say allegedly for now, but allegedly by this particular gentleman, Luigi Mangione, right? All of this was going on, all this happening within December, okay? This gentleman right here, okay? Luigi Mangione, according to New York as well, according to New York, I'll say it that way, the federal prosecutors, they stated that he was the one that allegedly caused Brian Thompson, the CEO of, United Healthcare to pass away. I'm going to be very careful with my words, okay? And we've already talked about all what he has in his lap, okay? We've already talked about all what happened all in Maggiano's lap, okay? Thank you guys for coming in. Please hit that like button. But when it comes back down to Mayor Eric Adams and the city of New York, due to them promoting Eric Adams promoting the gentleman in 2022, that's when the police, or should I say the quote unquote officers, or should I say law enforcement in the city of New York, allegedly people were just doing what they want to do, getting overtime money, like whatever, okay, whatever, whenever, because this lady, Ms. Quantisha Elps, she stated that, quote unquote, and she joined the police force herself in the year of 1991, a year after Jeffery Maddrey joined the police enforcement, or should I say the police force in New York. Because remember what I said, he joined. Let me correct myself. He joined. Let me fix it. Cancel that. He joined in 1990. Let me fix this. He joined that in 1990. And when it comes down to Ms. Quantisha Elps, let me correct myself. When it comes down to her, she had ended up working with Jeffery Maddrey. 2000, according to her, 2000, it was the year before 2021 when he was the chief of patrol. Okay. So she said she had already been working with him prior to his promotion in 2022. Okay. So prior to the chief of police being promoted to chief of police, she worked with him when he was the chief of patrol. Okay. According to her, okay, she stated that this gentleman, Jeffery Maddrey, and thank you guys for coming in, strolling down. She stated that the chief of police first demanded propositions, okay? He wanted her to do propositions, okay? And it all started on the 13th floor. What a number. The 13th floor of the police plaza in New York. Okay? I'm going to be very careful with my words because it's a sensitive topic. And the lady we're talking about, Miss Quantisha Elps, she is a cancer survivor of 3 times. She survived cancer. She's a mother of 3 children, single mother. And according to her, she stated that she actually told him her circumstances. She was having a hard time. And she said that is when the chief of police, Jeffery Maddrey, he started to become generous with her when it came down to quote unquote gifts, providing her gifts. And part of those gifts that he provided her were quote unquote overtime pay. Overtime pay. And I want people to understand with her, I'm trying to be careful with my words. I might do another live explaining it, but she stated how on the 13th floor, he told her, and I quote, that he had been dreaming about her. He had been dreaming about doing some things with her, okay? Doing some things with her, and let's just say doing some things with an eggplant, from the peach. I'll say that way. These is YouTube purposes. So she stated that he told her that he had been dreaming about doing some things with her with an eggplant, from the back and some stuff such as that nature. I'm trying to be very clean. And she said, with that first encounter she said she was in tears. She told him to stop, and next thing she said slow down. So it went from stop to slow down, and then she stated how even after all of that, right, they still continue to correspond with each other on that level, right? So remember what I said. She stated that they had a quote unquote initial encounterance, right? An initial encounterance right after he got promoted by Eric Adams in 2022, allegedly. And that is when he had her in his office on the 13th floor in the police. It's on the 13th floor. That's what she says, at the police plaza. And next thing you know, even though she told him to stop and all this, right? We're not victimizing anybody. She stated that they ended up encountering each other 10 more times. 10 more times. Now, according to her, and the lady that I'm talking about is this lady. She's the one that started the motions, as they say, started the motions. And she made the city of New York scared. I'll say it. Because of that, this chief of police has resigned. The NYPD commissioner, Tish herself, she had to make a press conference and statement stating that there was a resignation that was received by Jeffery Maddrey. Okay? And now I want people to understand this also. When it comes down to Quatisha Elps, in her filings of complaints, she stated, and this is what really got me with this. And I mean, it has to be, I don't know, it has to be some truth to this, because when it initially came out, okay, with this complaint, Jeffery Maddrey, his attorney, at first stated that these allegations are false. He did nothing with her. He did nothing with her. There was nothing going on with her, right? But then fast forward, he held a quote-unquote press conference. Then he did an interview. And then that's when things went far to the, as they say, left. Right? Now, according to Miss Quatisha Elps, when it comes down to this gentleman that I'm showing you, that I'm talking about, when it comes down to her, she stated that Jeffery Maddrey, former chief of police of New York, okay, she alleges that he told her to pay for a trip for him and his current wife. I'm gonna repeat that one more time, and thank you guys. Please hit that like button. He told Miss Quatisha Elps, allegedly, to pay for a Miami trip for his wife. He's married. He's been married, okay? He's been married with all this going on. He's been married. Now, she stated, for one, they've had their first encounter in his office. He took her to the back room where it's a bathroom and a couch, and he told her, "I've been dreaming about you doing things and all this mess," right? She tells him to stop and all this, and then fast forward, they encounter each other 10 more times, and within that 10 more time, okay, 10 more times going on, that is when she says he started to tell her to pay for his trip with his family, his wife, to Miami of $2,700. Then not only that, she throws other women under the bus. Okay? She throws other women under the bus. And what are the other women that are under the bus that we're speaking of? Okay? Yes, there's other women. And according to Miss Elps, okay, according to her, she stated how Jeffery Maddrey also asked her to go apartment hunting for another police officer, another female police officer. Okay? Yes, this is what Lieutenant Quantisha Elps stated in her claim. Okay? This is what she's stating, allegedly. Okay? And she stated, and the woman that I'm going to show you, want to be very careful. Okay? Fair use. The woman that I'm going to show you right now, this is one of the other women that Quantisha Elps stated that she was instructed to go apartment shopping. Okay? Before I show her to you guys, I'm going to break it down a little bit. Hit that like button. Thank you guys for coming in. This particular officer, she started working for the NYPD in the year of 2019. And her initial salary pay as a police officer in the city of New York was $42,500. That was her initial pay, right? In 2019 of her coming in. Please tell me why in the name of God she had her pay jump up to $154,000 over that. She had it jump up. So when she initially came in 2019 of a pay of $42,500, her pay jumped up to over $154,000. And of that over $150,000 in pay, according to what reports say, allegedly, her pay in 2024, she was one of those officers that received overtime pay. So her overtime pay as of this year was $55,923. Okay? And according to Miss Elps, with this quote-unquote other police officer, Jeffery Maddrey, former Chief Police Jeffery Maddrey, he told her that this police officer that came in the year of 2019 with only a little over $42,000 salary pay starting off, that jumped up to over $154,000 by this year. She stated that Jeffery Maddrey instructed her to go apartment shopping for this officer. Okay? Why? Because she said that he told her that this officer was also having trouble finding housing and having trouble with bills. Sounds familiar? Okay? So now we have two women. We have Quantisha Elps, okay? She stated that she was having hard time. She actually confided into this particular former chief police, Jeffery Maddrey, that he needed, she was asking for some help, right? For some help. And because of that, within a 2 years time frame, each year she received over $400,000 herself, and that over $400,000, over $200,000 of that was quote unquote, and this is the lady that we're showing. This is the other officer. Okay. Now, with this particular officer, Ms. Quantisha Elps spoke about in court documents, allegedly. She stated that this officer needed a place to stay. And with this officer, she got promoted to become a detective. Okay? She got promoted from being a new police officer in the year 2019 to now an actual detective. Okay? And she alleged that the former chief police Jeffery Maddrey ordered her to take care of this officer right here. Take care of her. Okay? And not only take care of her, but also provide household items for this alleged apartment that she helped assist in finding this lady. Okay, so she had helped allegedly assist in providing household items, goods for this officer. Okay, so this is the levels that we're talking about when it comes down to Miss Quantisha Elps, this lady right here that we're talking about. I want to make sure I show it to you guys. This lady right here that we're speaking of, she is the one that started it all. I'm going to go into the comments. Thank you guys for coming in. Please hit that like button. Thank you so much for coming in. Now, when it comes down to Miss Quantisha Elps, right? She's stating a number of other women have, she's not the only one. Now, prior to the chief of police becoming the chief of police, okay, Jeffery Maddrey, right? Prior to that, he was having alleged other quote unquote affairs with 2 other women. Well, really 3 other women, right? And that's when it gets more into detail. Now, I might stop at this point and go back so I can show you guys what is Jeffery Maddrey's response to all of this, right? What is Jeffery, this gentleman right here, what is his response to all of this? His response to all of this is, and I quote, "It was a fling. And we only encountered me and Miss quote unquote former Lieutenant Quantisha Elps. We only encountered each other twice." That's what he stated. Okay. Now, when it comes to all of this that is coming up into the air, where does this leave everybody? He is out of a job. Okay. But according to his attorney, okay, he is quote unquote technically officially an attorney himself because he passed the state bar and he finished law school last year back in May. Right? So he might himself have had to resign from his position of being a chief of police for the city of New York, but he is technically an attorney. This is what we have to work with, ladies and gentlemen. This is what we have to work with. Now, when it comes down to Miss Quantisha Elps, she stated how she was basically this former of chief police handler. Okay? And why do I state that? Because just like I stated in this live, she started to do jobs for him. She started to go apartment hunting for one police officer for this chief of police. She started to provide goods for this quote unquote officer, okay, for this apartment. She started to quote unquote continue a physical relationship with this guy that we're speaking of, this gentleman right here. So she started to do all of these things. And when she started to do all of these things, okay, when she started to file complaints with EEOC, that is when, how did New York respond? How did Mayor Eric Adams respond? This is the same Mayor Eric Adams that promoted him. How did they respond? Okay, let's show it for what it is. Commissioner. Remember Commissioner Jessica Tisch of NYPD? She held a huge press conference against these other people, as far as Luigi Mangione and the undocumented immigrant that did what he did to the lady in the subway. right? They held huge press conferences in that. But when it came down to this mess, the only time they took a stand or made some type of movement in regards to the chief of police was when Quantisha Elps did a complaint, filed an initial complaint or a number of complaints. So what was the commissioner of NYPD? What was her response? December the 20th, she accepted Jeffery Maddrey's resignation. December the 20th. Okay? December the 21st, right after the city of New York, the NYPD commissioner accepts Jeffery Maddrey's quote unquote resignation. That is when Miss Elps filed a quote unquote complaint with EEOC, because prior to that, she wanted an investigation from within, from quote unquote within. Now, also on December the 21st, right after Miss Elps filed a complaint with the EEOC, another press conference is held, and NYPD Commissioner Jessica Tisch, she makes an announcement to replace quote unquote Jeffery Maddrey with an intern by the name of John. Okay? Temporarily. Now, as far as Mayor Eric Adams himself, what is his response? His response was, and I quote, extremely concerning and alarming. And he stated that the department was conducting a full review. That is his response. That is his response. Now, response in regards to this gentleman here that we want to talk about. And I'm going to just play a little clip for fair use. His response to this, and thank you guys for coming in. Please hit that like button. His response, I want to make sure we're on the same point. This is what he says in regards to what happened.
We worked together, starting in early 2022. We were working together for about a year and a half, and we were working together. One thing led to another. We had an office flame. That's all it was. It was an office flame.
Now, he said office fling. I'm going to fast forward. He said there was, quote unquote, nothing else to that. And according to him, they had only encountered between themselves twice. That's it. But remember what I said, according to Quantisha Elps, she stated they encountered each other not once, not twice, but 10 times after the initial encounterance on the 13th floor in his office, where there's a quote-unquote bathroom and a couch. Now, I'm gonna show one more quote-unquote clip from this segment. This is fair use. Okay.
Just wanted to come out and just stand up for myself and tell everyone that these accusations are not true.
Now, I wanted to actually speak on this because it is time for people to take a stand and speak up. And I'm so tired of people trying to, make it seem one way and it's not. And when I say make it seem one way and it's not, when are these individuals going to be held accountable? Okay? When are they going to be held accountable? Because people were so ready to, and they're still ready to, quote unquote, find justice and have Donald Trump sentenced, right? What about the justice in regards to this gentleman? He needs to be held accountable. And not only him, what about this gentleman? What about what about Mayor Eric Adams? He has a huge indictment. What about him? But see, that is what I was trying to tell you guys. This is where we stand right now. This is where we're going when it comes down to picking and choosing and falling for these distractions. That is why I stated in lives before, in my live stream before, right? I really feel, and I'm standing on that. I really feel when it comes down to Mayor Eric Adams holding these huge press conferences and coming at these different intervals when it comes down to Luigi Mangione and the undocumented immigrant and as far as cutting the vouchers and stating that he's for the city of New York. The reason he did what he did was to make sure the city of New York doesn't catch themselves having to pay out $12 billion and trying to point face and point fingers at Congress and federal not doing their job, what they're supposed to be doing. We talked about that, right? We talked about, he said, and I quote, okay, as far as New York City being a sanctuary city and New York State being a sanctuary state as a whole, he said, if we don't get the support we need from federal, that's what he was talking about, from federal government, if we don't get the support we need, New Yorkers could be left with a $12 billion bill. But look what I just told you guys in this live. They had been needing to clean house within anyway. They had been needing to clean house. Why did they need to clean house? Because I just told you in this live, and this is just a part, right? A part of it. Because we're going to break it down even more in the next part, right? They had been, quote unquote, needing to clean house, and they had been, quote unquote, mishandling funds and mishandling money from within. Because I just told you guys in this live, even when it comes down to the quote unquote, the law enforcement in the city of New York, according to Jeffery Maddrey's attorney, this is not coming from me. He even said it himself. 415 other police officers received over $100,000 each from overtime pay. Think about that. Then, in addition to that, I even told you in this live that when it came down to the former chief of police, he's former chief of police now, okay, Jeffery Maddrey, I even told you guys that he had allegedly had all these quote unquote relationships or encounterings with other entities within house. One of them specifically being this lady by the name of Quantisha Elps. This lady right here. She was the one that stated it. She the one that stated it. And I quote, I helped provide $2,700 for him, for my boss, former chief of police, Jeffery Maddrey. I have provided $2,700 trip for his wife and him to go to Miami. And in addition to that, I also assisted in going apartment hunting for another police officer who was hired on in the year of 2019. Okay. And with that particular officer, allegedly, her pay went from a little over $42,000 salary all the way up now of the year 2024, all the way up to over $154,000. So with her, this lady, Quantisha Elps, she's the one that's making it shake. Right? And why did I speak on this live today as a whole? Is because I say this to say, and I spoke about it even yesterday. I spoke about it a little bit yesterday. Before we worry about other people such as Donald Trump, right? And before we worry about other countries' issues, we need to worry about in-house. And in-house, for one, is here in America. And in-house, for two, in the case of the city of New York and the state of New York, they need to worry about themselves instead of trying to focus in on trying to sentence Donald Trump and trying to focus in on I personally feel is a distraction right now, because guess what? At the end of the day, what are you going to do, quote unquote, Governor Kathy Hochul, Mayor Eric Adams? What are you going to do when Donald Trump officially comes in January the 20th, and then, oh, let's not forget about these key individuals, because, oh, they're going to come. They're really going to come. You think it's bad now. They're getting scared. They're getting so scared. And yes, I'm saying it. Eric Adams and these individuals, they are scared. And I really believe they're scared, because look at how they are moving. This lady didn't do but one thing: file some complaints in-house, and then the chief of police, he hops up and resigns. He changes. First, he pulls a Diddy act. And yes, I said it. He pulls a quote-unquote Diddy stunt. Okay? And why do I say he pulled a quote-unquote Sean Combs Diddy stunt? Because if you guys can remember, when it came down to Sean Combs, okay, the initial quote-unquote civil filing that Miss quote-unquote Cassie Ventura filed, right? Remember, Sean Combs was saying, oh, it's not true, it's all false. But what came out? What video came out? Right? What video came out? When that video came out, because remember, Sean Combs, aka Diddy, he was stating, oh, it's not true, it's false. People just doing this for money, saying all of this madness. And then sure enough, the infamous video comes out, okay, of him running down the hallway wearing a towel, looking wild, okay? And this beautiful woman right here, Cassie Ventura, is trying to just leave. What happens? Diddy does the same thing that this gentleman did. That this gentleman that you're looking at, this former chief of police, okay, of New York, Jeffery, quote unquote, Maddrey, he did the same thing that Diddy did. He wants to, quote unquote, change it up, change it around. And his way of changing it up and changing around, when allegations came about as far as him having his encounterings with women, right? As far as him having his encounterings with women, and I'm like, should I show that video? I don't even want to put Miss Cassie Ventura through this madness. But I want to make sure people understand this, right? This person right here, in my eyes, is the same, is no better than this person that you're looking at right here in this live. And I'm going to delve in it a little bit more. Why I say that? Because remember that video that got released? That Diddy allegedly, according to Judge Arun stated when Sean Diddy Combs tried to get out of jail on a $50 million bond, and his attorneys tried to claim that he will be safe to society and all this madness, right? And then his attorneys tried to say that well, the federal prosecutors, they were the ones that put out the video. Who's to say? They were the ones that put out that video of our client, okay, running down the hallway. But then Judge Arun said, well, that's who's to say that whoever Diddy paid off the alleged $100,000, it's all in the court documents, the $100,000 that he allegedly paid the security team at this hotel to quote unquote make that video go away of him running down the hallway behind Cassie, right? Make that video go away. He paid somebody $100,000, but according to Judge Arun said, "Hey, who's to say? Who's to say it wasn't one of them, or it wasn't somebody in Diddy's own quote unquote group? Who's to say?" And I apologize, Tony. I'm changing my tone. My apologies, ladies and gentlemen. But I just want people to think about all what this lesson of today is. Right? Do not fall for the distraction. Do not fall for the distraction. And there is no such thing, okay, as quote unquote people being, liars when you have receipts, when you have actual facts. Okay? And I'm telling you right now, if they think it's bad for Diddy, let me move back to the side with this incident right here, with this former chief of police as well as Mayor Eric Adams, because he has been indicted as well. He's under the same indictment. Let me make sure I show you guys who I'm talking about. This Mayor Eric Adams, he's under the same, he was indicted by the same jurisdiction or the same district as quote unquote Diddy, the Southern District of New York. Let's move this to the side. All these entities are in connections. Why? Because Eric Adams was the one, even when he knew of things going on prior to him promoting his quote-unquote peer, Jeffery Maddrey, he knew that Jeffery Maddrey was doing some things, or let me say this. There were allegations. I'll say it that way. There were quote-unquote allegations. But how is it, just think about it, how is it nobody started to move or shake until, I'm just going to be honest, nobody started to move or shake until this gentleman became president, elected president. I'm telling you now, Donald Trump is moving in silence when it comes down to people. Right? Because people want to sit there and try to put out all this, we're gonna make sure he gets sentenced, he needs this, he needs that. But I want you guys to understand this. Okay? Who are going to be the voice for people such as this lady? Okay? The real quote unquote victims. Who's going to be a voice for all these individuals that allegedly stating that the former chief of police, Jeffery Maddrey, okay, has had encounters with females? And even when it comes down to the taxpayers' money, because where do you think this overtime money came from? It came by you, the taxpayers. It came by you, the taxpayers. So I want people to understand this. Because of all this madness that has been going on, the city of New York, they assisted in providing over $400,000 of salary, and over $200,000 of that being okay for Quantisha Elps. You also assisted not only her, you assisted the former chief of police Jeffery Maddrey. You also assisted Mayor Eric Adams, because he's been indicted due to fraudulent activities, allegedly. And because of all of this, the taxpayers in the city of New York, they have assisted in a number of females getting paid. Okay? Getting paid overtime. And according to, I want to bring it back. With this particular chief of police that we're talking about, right? when this all came out, he hires an attorney. And his attorney says, well, hey, my client, he didn't even have the approval to approve of any overtime for anybody. And he also stated 415 other police officers receive overtime pay of over $100,000 a year. Okay, so that is all I wanted to actually say, and thank you guys for coming in. Thank you so much for coming in, you guys. Please hit that like button. I appreciate you guys for coming in. Shout out to Red Room. Shout out to, quote unquote, Otto. I cannot say that other word, Otto. Shout out to Narendra. Shout out to Richard. Shout out to Christy. Shout out to Farley. Shout out to The Guardian. Shout out to Julie. Shout out to everyone that has came into this live. Thank you so much. Shout out to Paul. Shout out to the Herbal Goddess. Thank you guys for coming in. Shout out to Grayson. Shout out to everybody. Now I can read it. Okay, let me make sure I can highlight this. Farley says, none of the indictments were true. Truly a sham. Nobody got hurt and no one lost money. Let me make sure I pin that. Now, Farley, I'm presuming he was stating in regards to Donald Trump's indictment, okay, that he was convicted of. But Farley says none of the indictments were truly a sham. Nobody got hurt and no one lost money. And I want people to understand this, right? Do you guys see the difference? Do you see the difference? Because I want people to take a step back, right? People have to hold themselves accountable. And when I say hold themselves accountable, why isn't everybody holding themselves accountable? You cannot just point fingers at one person, because just like I told you guys in this live, right? New York needs to clean up. And I even say this, my state, Georgia, not the cleanest, especially the district attorney that's still trying to file that indictment against Donald Trump, Fani Willis. We'll talk about that on another live, because she has been removed from the case, Miss Fani Willis. Okay, the district attorney in Fulton County that's in Georgia, she has been removed. Okay, and she's still standing on, quote unquote, that even if she has to wait 8 years, she's going to make sure Donald Trump is found guilty. If that does not make the most, I don't know. It doesn't make sense. It's just astoundingly wild to me. Why? Because people need to focus on what's in house. What's in house in the quote unquote city that I live in or county that I'm affiliated with, District Attorney Fani Willis, right? Allegedly, she has cost this county millions of dollars. And she's still trying to stand on, as she say, stand on business. How can you stand on business, right? You can't even take care of your own business. Because if you could take care of your own business, she wouldn't have been, quote unquote, removed from her position in the case that she was the one filed against Donald Trump. But thank you guys for coming in. I appreciate all the support. And shout out to everyone that has joined this live. I'm going to, quote unquote, make my last. And thank you so much for the likes. Thank you. I appreciate the likes. Now, before I end this live, I always end it with quote unquote quotes, motivational quotes to start your day. And I want to wish everybody a quote unquote happy New Year's Eve and a happy New Year. And please do not allow or fall for these quote unquote distractions, right? Do not fall. Thank you so much. Thank you so much. Oh my goodness, for the likes. Thank you so much. Now, I always say, please don't fall for these distractions, and this is with anything in life general, right? Don't fall for what someone tells you, because it could just be a ploy and a game for them to play with you in your mind and play with you to get you or manipulate you into doing something. And I'm going to be honest. This is with anything, this we can say this for anything in life, because you have already seen, what has happened here in this live when it comes down to quote unquote, these key individuals that I spoke about in this live. Okay, Mayor Eric Adams, right? He wants to sit there and say that the federal government, they have not been doing what they were supposed to do with sending funds to assist the city of New York, right? But look at all what had transpired. I don't blame them not one bit. Why would they send the city of New York any more money if you guys are continuing to give your law enforcement, okay, some of them, okay, over $100,000 in overtime pay? So why would I do that? Why would I send you this money and you're not gonna do nothing but mishandle it? You've shown it. You can't even control in-house, but you want to worry about what Donald Trump doing. You want to worry about what everybody else doing. Please. Now, as I stated, when it comes down to this quote unquote, the motivational quote today is or was, accountability is the best responsibility to success. And that's the main reason I made sure I wanted to do a live today, to be consistent, work on my consistency, holding myself accountable with being consistent by doing lives every morning, trying to be consistent. And if I don't do a live every morning, I will hold myself accountable. And I think that's what people should start doing. This is how you gain success, right? This is how you gain success. And I want people to understand this, right? This is how people, gain success with anything in life. This is how you gain success. Consistency, discipline, right? And this is what I hope that, we all, if nobody's perfect. That's why I say, let's just move forward, and have a great New Year's Eve. Have a safe New Year's Eve. And last but not least, happy New Year's if I don't see you guys tonight. But we'll come in, look tomorrow morning, hopefully tomorrow morning. And like I said, before I end this live, I do it in the beginning, but I'm going to do it at the end now. Fair use, copyright disclaimer under Section 107 of Copyright Act 1976. Allowance is made for fair use for purposes such as criticism, commenting, news reporting, teaching, scholarship, and research. Fair use is a use permitted by copyright statute that might otherwise be infringing. Nonprofit, educational, or personal use tips the balance in favor of fair use. And ladies and gentlemen, this is part 2. So we're gonna go back on this. It may not be tomorrow. We'll see. It may not be tomorrow. We will see. But please, once you listen to this live, replay this live. Hit the like. Thank you so much for the likes. Thank you so much for the super stickers. Shout out to you guys. And I will end this live with my words of motivation that I always end. Rule number 1, eliminate the if. Focus on the present. Rule number 2, focus on self, not others. Rule number 3, tell yourself, I will learn something new every day. Rule number 4, tell yourself, I will not get upset at what I don't have control of. And last but not least, advocate for yourself, because if you don't advocate for yourself, who will speak up for you? And thank you guys for coming in. I appreciate all the support that you have given. Shout out to Art of War. Shout out to Red Room. Shout out to Narendra. Shout out to everybody in this live. You guys have made my day. Shout out to Julie. Shout out to Julie when Julie said New York has changed. And yes, indeed, it has. And thank you so much for the like. Thank you so much for the likes. Thank you. I see it. You guys are making my day. Shout out to the Herbal Goddess. Shout out to Liz. Shout out to Affectionate. Affectionate says, I got a question. Do people in general honestly think that Trump is the only president or ex-president that has done the same thing? Ooh, Affectionate, look. I should have been reading these chats. Oh my goodness, affection, you came in. Shout out to Tanaya. Much respect to Tanaya. Gotta give a big shout out to Tanaya. Big hugs to Tanaya. Thank you so much for coming in. Shout out to CCTV News. Especially shout out to Melinda. And thank you guys for all the support. This is Politic Graham. And always remember, have a peace of mind and always be in peace. Bye, 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 bye.